I'm author Tara Moeller, and I am here for 5 minutes for 3 questions to one author with DreamPunk Press. Why do I write? I think because I feel like I have to. I've always written things. I have notebooks from when I was in elementary school full of short stories that I wrote that some are very cringe now as somebody who's older now, and I go back and I read those. But I've always written short stories and poetry, and I was always encouraged by my grandmother to do that. And that's why I write. I think just because I kind of have to. I have these stories bouncing around in my head, and if I don't get them out there on paper somehow, they're just going to spin around in there forever and drive me nuts. What do I write? I write a lot of different things. In fact, I have a couple of other pen names too. But as Tara Moeller, I write sci-fi, I write horror, I write weird stuff that doesn't quite fit any single genre. And I write about the things I think that scare me, which is why, the horror is in there. And there's a horror element in all of that stuff that I just kind of spoke about. Things to be scared of, because I'm scared of a lot of things. I've lived some things, and I'm scared of things that are going to happen in the future. And somehow getting those out on paper makes them less real, which is weird. But it's what it is. What is my latest project? My latest finished project is Like Second Skin, which took me forever to finish. It was actually, the first draft was finished over 20 years ago. I took an English class, a creative writing class, and it was the same class, and you took it several times, and each time it was like, level 1, level 2, level 3, because you were honing your skill. And I think it was the fourth time I was taking the class, and the professor was like, "You're not going to pass unless you give me a completed manuscript." I'd been working on what seemed like those same first few chapters for 3 classes so far. And so I did, and it was a little bit crappy because it was very rushed, those last few chapters. But there was something about typing the end at the end, and I, put it all together, and I slid it under his door to his office, to turn it in. And then everybody met for the last class, just to chill. And he said, "I'm glad you did that. And the reason is I wanted you to know, I wanted you to finish, because so many writers don't get to that point. They spend so much time reworking and rewriting that they don't." So I learned something very, very important, that is to finish it, even though it's taken 25 years to get to publication. I am very proud of this, because technically this is the very first book that I wrote the end at the end of. Like Second Skin by Tara Moeller.